Good evening from Midtown Manhattan, where NBA owners met again today to talk about the business issues of the league in a conference room just a few feet away from where I am right now. And again, the topic of expansion came up. On a day with debate headlines and President Biden scheduled to be in New York, NBA owners quietly met behind closed doors to talk about their own future.
Commissioner, it's Chris Daniels from Como TV in Seattle. Good to see you again. It's been
You too. It's been a while.
League Commissioner Adam Silver saying an expansion committee has yet to be formed.
Who may serve on that, how that may work going forward?
Chris, there was not a lot of discussion in this meeting about expansion, but only largely because, not for lack of interest, it was that we had said to them that we're not quite ready.
But he said that time is near.
It was something that we told our board we plan to address this season. We're not quite ready yet, but I think that there's certainly interest in the process.
Seattle's Mayor Bruce Harrell has recently suggested the city was, quote, closer than ever to a Sonics return. Investors are standing ready, waiting for a signal that the league is open for business. 3-year-old Climate Pledge Arena has hosted a pair of NBA exhibition games, and the Sonic roots run deep here, even though the city has not had a franchise since 2008. I asked Silver if another game scheduled for October 11th will be monitored by the league as part of this discussion.
Is there anybody from the NBA doing an assessment of that building and how that works with those exhibition games, now the third in Seattle?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, we're always paying attention to what's happening in other arenas throughout the United States. When we do play games there, we look very closely at the support we get in those markets. I know we're going to get a tremendous support around that preseason game again.
Reading between the lines here in Midtown Manhattan, this could just be a question of whether there is solid support from the NBA owners. New York Knicks owner James Dolan has been critical of the NBA's recent TV and digital rights deals, but I did talk with the Toronto Raptors chairman today, Larry Tannenbaum, who told me he is a big fan of Seattle and he loves what Climate Pledge Arena looks like with those Kraken games. That's the story for now. Here in Midtown Manhattan, I'm Chris Daniels, Como News.
People here in Washington have been anticipating the return of the Sonics since the moment the team left. It's been 16 years, and that wait will continue. Seattle City leaders were expecting an announcement about the return, but this afternoon at the NBA governors meeting, league owners said not yet. I talked with Chris Daniels to see how close the NBA is to bringing back our Sonics.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for being with us here in ARC Seattle tonight, all the way from New York City. So you were at the NBA Board of Governors meeting today. For our viewers, why don't you give them a little bit of background and just what the significance of all of this was?
Yeah, Preston, as you know, this is a story I've covered for close to 2 decades. I won't give you all that background tonight, with the exception of I'll tell you that these are meetings, the Board of Governors, made up of team owners and executives, high-ranking executives for every NBA franchise. And also, it's a chance to talk to the NBA Commissioner, Adam Silver, about business issues, stuff that happens off the court. And one of the things that has been discussed now for a year or two is the NBA expanding and adding potentially 1 or 2 new franchises. You know that the Sonics left Seattle back in 2008. We don't have to give you all that background right now about why they left Seattle. But Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, has alluded to the fact that he believed that by the fall there would be a conversation in earnest, his words, about NBA expansion. So that leads us to today. After 2 days of meetings with owners, Silver comes out and addresses the media about what exactly they have discussed, what challenges they have, what else they're trying to sort out. I had the opportunity to ask about the status of expansion. Given that there were some people in Seattle, notably the mayor of Seattle, Bruce Harrell, who had expected that the NBA was going to address this today and potentially announce an expansion committee. What Silver said depends. It really, you can look at it 2 ways. One, hey, he's already talked about adding an expansion team and doing it this fall. The other side of that issue, though, however, is the headlines are already being written that Silver said that they will address expansion this season, meaning the season that's about to start. So what he said today is not far from what he said in the past. There was just no payoff today in terms of expansion committee, but he also said when I questioned him at this press conference about the exhibition game that is scheduled now for October the 11th at Climate Pledge Arena, I asked him if anybody from the NBA would be assessing the arena, assessing the crowd, and he said yes, that they've taken notes essentially from what has happened there the last couple of years with NBA exhibition games. They're watching that crowd and taking notes not only on that arena, but on other arenas around the world where NBA teams have played. So you walk out of this NBA Board of Governors today without an immediate payoff if you're Bruce Harrell, the Seattle mayor, but also if you're a fan who's followed this or someone in the business community who's followed this since the Sonics left, you could also, I can see, leave encouraged that there's going to be an answer soon.
So it seems like in many ways this was kind of a letdown.
Again, it's one of those. It's the cup half full, half empty. There was no announcement today about an expansion committee being formed, but Silver says they have discussed it, and he expects them to address it this season. So there's a bit of moving of the goalposts, so to speak, in terms of saying we're going to address this in earnest this fall. I made the joke it's not fall yet, but it is September. It's the annual time of the year when they have these meetings in New York City. And he said, yes, thanks for pointing that out, but we will be addressing it this season. And so you can look at that two ways. One, hey, there was no payoff today for the city of Seattle, but also it sounds like potentially soon, if not by the end of this year, there will be some sort of announcement about an expansion process and potentially naming the cities where they'd like to expand.
Were you surprised that was the response today? Were you expecting to hear more positive news?
I think that I had a certain expectation going in that there was going to be an announcement of a expansion committee, but I can also tell you behind the scenes, talked with an owner in particular, or the chairman of the Toronto Raptors, who told me he's very excited about Seattle and very bullish on Seattle and loves what the Kraken did with Climate Pledge Arena. He really likes Climate Pledge Arena. His name is Larry Tannenbaum. He's the head of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. That's a group that also owns the Toronto NHL franchise. So I did have a good conversation with him today. Steve Ballmer, I can tell you, I saw him with my own eyes walking into that room. Clay Bennett, the former owner of the Sonics. So this is being discussed. I think, the idea that they were going to have an answer today about an expansion committee, I think will be a letdown for people who are following this very closely. But also, hey, I can tell you, look at ESPN.com, and this was their headline, that expansion is on the table this season. And this was the story that they thought was the biggest story that came out of this Board of Governors meeting.
So moving the goalpost, not exactly what you hope to hear today, but it sounds like we just need to be patient. And then down the road here, and maybe not that far away, we'll get some positive information, the information you were hoping to hear today.
Well, Preston, there are some variables regarding a legal challenge from Warner Brothers Discovery to the NBA on the NBA TV digital rights deal that was signed. That is a variable here. There's another variable that the Celtics, Boston Celtics, are for sale. And one of the minority investors is David Bonderman, who is interested in owning the NBA franchise in Seattle. So that nobody said this today. This is just trying to put the T's and I's together, that perhaps that deal needs to get done before an expansion process can really be launched in Seattle, because you cannot own two franchises in the NBA. So there are some variables here which could be slowing down this process, but quite frankly, the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, said it would begin in earnest this fall. We're a couple of weeks away from that. Yes, I think one that's a fan, it can walk away disappointed there wasn't an answer today, but I did get the sense from being in the room that there is something coming very soon. It just didn't happen today.
Okay. Well, Chris Daniels in New York City tonight, we appreciate all the information. I know our viewers do. And I know you will keep us posted as this continues to develop. And as always, thanks for being with us here in our Seattle tonight. We appreciate it.
You bet. See you soon.